Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. I wrote three books, and I have been looking for a publisher. I have been praying, God, I have written three books, and I really am so confused. I have no idea how to publish because whoever I'm talking to, everyone is giving their opinion. Some say, oh, you should do self-publishing. Someone say, no, you should go to a reputed person. Someone said, why do you bother? Just go directly to Amazon. Someone is saying, why don't you go India and get it published? I was so confused, and I was just praying, God, please, I need some help in publishing my book. And here comes Terry Whalin into my life. And he said, why do you have so many problems? Why do you have so many concerns? Hey, I take care of publishing. I'm into this business for long. So he is like answering my prayer to God. So without me going into details about Terry, let's hear it from Terry. So Terry, tell us about your stories. Tell us about your struggles. Tell about your success. We want to know everything. Hey, but let's get started. Let's tell us what was your wake up moment as an author and then as a publisher. What happened? First, of course, first tell us about your writing journey. Afterwards,
Yeah.
we'll go into the publishing journey.
Yes. Yes, Sue. Thank you for this opportunity. I've been doing this for a long time, and I guess my wake up moment happened in 2007. I Mark Victor Hansen, the co-author on Chicken Soup for the Soul, invited me to come out to Los Angeles. He was having a big event. He called it Mega Book Marketing University. Um, I was a literary agent back then. I was running a little agency in the North Scottsdale, Arizona area. So I went out there to Los Angeles, and I during the conference I took pitches from people that participated, but I also decided to sit there and I listened to every one of the speakers. There were over 400 people at this event. And as I sat there, it's almost like I woke up because at that point in my life, I'd written about 50 books for traditional publishers. So I'd gotten six-figure advances a couple of times. Publishers were making pretty books. They were getting them in the bookstores. But publishers, either once a year or maybe quarterly, will send you a financial statement about how your book is doing. And I was getting my statements, and they were all in the negative category, like minus, because they'd never earned back their advance. And I couldn't really understand what I was doing wrong to make that happen. And one of the speakers at this event was Jack Canfield, the other co-author on Chicken Soup for the Soul. And Jack has written this book called The Success Principles. And he's really studied success and what it takes to be successful. And the very first success principle says that I will take 100% responsibility for my own success. Now, none of us want to take 100% responsibility. We want somebody else to do it. We want a publisher, a marketing person, an editor, my agent, somebody, please, other than me. But it was during that event I realized how little I was doing myself to promote my own book. I had a terrywhalin.com website, but I was doing almost nothing else to promote my book. So I decided to start blogging back in the early days of blogging, and I blog consistently. And so now I have over 1,700 entries in my blog. And about a year ago, I found this article. They say that there's over 600 million blogs that are out there, and they listed
Wow.
me as one of the top 27 content producers, along with Brian Holiday and Seth Godin and people like that. And it's because I have this huge volume of material out there that I've done week after week. And so I decided to change and take responsibility for my own books and getting them out there. And it really has made a big difference in the way my books have
That's
sold
really good.
and the
So
way they've
as
been
an
successful.
editor, no, we talked about basically writing. So, but next step is of course editing, right? So, as an editor, what are the biggest mistakes or errors authors generally tend to do, or they even try to skip the editing part? So, can you touch upon editing process?
Yeah, as an editor, I'm looking for, I'm usually the very first person that reads the submissions, and so I'm looking for things that are good that we can publish. I mean, at Morgan James, where I work, we publish about 200
Hmm.
books a year, and we receive 5,000 submissions for those 200 spots. So I tell people it's almost like trying to drink water out of a fire hose. The number of things that we get coming at us. But years ago, I was interviewing another acquisitions editor, and I asked him how he found a good one, and it's really the same way I find it. He said, I read the title, and if it's a good title, I read the first sentence. And if it's a good first sentence, I read the paragraph. And then I read the first page. And then I read the next page. And that's really the way it is. So my big tip for you in that, Sue, is don't put your best stuff, over on page 5, because they may never get there. Start with a bang and really give people something that they're actually looking for at the end of the day. For example, at Morgan James, we don't publish poetry, we don't publish coffee table books, but other than that, it's kind of wide open, the types of books that we publish out there. So I'm actively looking for all kinds of stuff that
I
we can
totally
get out there
appreciate
and
you
sell into
sending
the
me this
bookstores.
book, 10 Publishing Myth. But I want to know, why did you write this book?
Well, I wrote this book because I talk to authors all the time. I'm working actually at my third publishing house with authors that are coming into the publishing house. And so what I find all the time is that these authors come with totally unrealistic expectations about what's going to actually happen with their book. And that's what I called myths in the book. So I came up with 10 myths that people have, and then I decided to write those particular chapters about the different myths. And probably the biggest one that people come up with is the one I put first, is people assume that they will make a lot of money with their book. And whether they're doing anything proactive with that or not, they actually have to be doing something for those desires and dreams to actually be achieved. I mean, even with the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, people forget that those
I
guys were
know.
rejected over
That's a great
160
story,
times
yeah.
before they finally found a publisher. A lot of rejection. And but what they did, they finally found a little publisher in Florida to publish their book. And they told their publisher that they were going to sell 1 million copies in the first year. And their publisher laughed at them because at that point, they'd not sold 1 million copies of anything. They thought that was a ridiculous idea. But Mark and Jack practiced what they call the rule of 5. Uh, they got up every day and they did 5 things to promote their book. They did a podcast, they did a radio show, a guest blog post, a book signing, a newspaper article, something that they did proactively every day to promote their book. It took them a year and a half to reach the first 1 million sales of the Chicken Soup books. And now it's one of the most
I think it
sold
is there in every
series that's
household.
out there, the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Yeah.
So it's their work really paid off, but they had to do the work. A lot of people don't want to do the work. I mean, they just don't understand that they really need to be doing something in
So
order to
this is really
make those
important.
things happen.
Take your own responsibility, because I think it is a human tendency that always blame someone else. Always put blame someone else, and if those are responsible for you wherever you are, then means basically where are you involved? Then it is their life. It is not your life, right? Taking responsibility is the really critical thing, and taking action to get the results what you want. So I love it. It's a power of five. It is really great. And what about the remaining myths? How did you come up with the remaining myths?
I just came up with them with different ideas and the way people talk to me about things. Like another myth, for example, is that my publisher will market and sell my book. Now, your publisher's going to do their work. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we invest thousands of dollars into every book at Morgan James that we publish, but we also have lots of books that we're working on. We're not just working on your book. So you're the person with the greatest passion and greatest desire for your book. So you have to take that passion and use that in a practical way to be responsible and get your book out there. That's just a message that authors really
So what
need
is
to hear
the
and
we
understand.
talk about these myths. So what is the myth buster action? What someone can take to bust all these myths?
Yeah, at the end of every chapter, I added this MBA, this myth buster action, which was a practical action step that every author could take to apply the material in that particular chapter to their own work. I mean, Sue, what I've learned from being in publishing is there's so much of the process that is totally outside of my control. Nothing I can do anything about. I mean, for example, I had a publisher that gave me a six-figure advance for my book, but they never showed myself nor my co-author the cover of the book before it was published. And it had the picture of my co-author on the cover of that book. And he hated that picture. He did nothing to promote his book. And so after 6 months, that publisher took that book out of print. Now, people that aren't in the book business may not understand, but when you take a book out of print, that really means that they've destroyed a lot of those books. They're not going to they bring them back into the house. That's why when you go to your local Barnes and Nobles and see all these hardcover books that are in the bargain section of the bookstore, the true story on those books is they're getting ready to be returned to the publisher and destroyed. And so I'm one of the few people in the country that still have a copy of that book that I wrote years ago, but it just didn't succeed because I really wasn't in communication. The publisher wasn't in communication with us. We're really in the communication business as people in publishing. So, take your own responsibility. That's why I have those mythbuster actions in there. Um, I talk to a lot of authors. They say, well, I build my presence on Facebook, or I build my presence on YouTube or LinkedIn. Well, there's a problem with those platforms. Those are what we call in the business, we call those rented platforms, because I don't control Facebook. I don't control LinkedIn or YouTube. I mean, I can violate their terms, whether I know it or don't know it, and I can get kicked off of those places tomorrow. So don't build your stuff on something that you can't control. That's why I encourage authors to, build their own website, blog on their own site, start a newsletter, something that they can control. And all of us on our newsletters, we all start small and then grow that newsletter. But there's really great tools out there to do this kind of thing, but nobody else can do it for you. I mean, sure, you can get a virtual assistant, you can get some help, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's really
Yeah, the
responsible to get
same
it
thing I
get
teach
it
in
out
my
there on a
business, that
consistent
social
basis.
media, means basically you don't own social media. So whether it can be LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, and you can lose your account just in a minute. For example, I think I posted one video and that mentioned just funnel, and I had thousands of followers on that account in TikTok, and TikTok said it is spam, and they just wiped out my account and I never got it back. You and people go into LinkedIn jail, Facebook jail, and yeah, sometimes they recover, sometimes they don't. For example, once I got message from Facebook that uh, we are actually canceling your account. I said, why? What happened? And I couldn't even reach the customer care and nothing. Somehow I don't know, through many hoops, I contacted them, and then I said, what wrong did I do? I hardly even come on Facebook. So why are you taking away my account? And then next day I got email saying, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. You get your account back. I cannot depend on such kind of platforms. They are there, no doubt about it. They are free. You can use them, but you cannot put foundation of your dream, your passion on these kind of platforms. You have to have your own website, and of course email list and whatever which you own. So you can change the platform, you can change the software, but still this is what you own and you can take it with you, and those are your assets, and you can convert, you can serve them, and you can create a win-win situation. This is so true, so right. So as a author, means why it is so vital that you should be passionate about your own book.
Well, you should be passionate about it because if you if you stop being passionate about it, uh, you're not going to do anything. So really, you should use that passion to continue to promote and talk to people about your book. For example, a number of years ago, I published a book about Billy Graham, a biography about Billy Graham. I worked for Mr. Graham years ago. I got this opportunity to write this book and I put it out there. I'm still, Sue, promoting that Billy Graham book every day because I'm passionate about it. I love that book. I love Mr. Graham, but I'm not sending out messages that just say buy my book, because nobody cares about that. So instead, I'm sending clips of radio interviews that I've done with different images that will intrigue people and get people interested in it. So, and people wonder why in the world social media is so important. Why do publishers really care about my social media numbers? Because we've pretty much proven that we're not going to sell books really through social media, but you're doing a very important thing with social media because we've learned that somebody has to hear about your book 7, 8, a dozen times, maybe before they actually reach into their wallet and say, oh, I know about that book. I think I should buy that book. So part of what you're doing with your social media messages over and over is just saying, hey, this book is really a benefit.
Creating an
And this is why
awareness.
somebody should
Creating an
really read
awareness.
this
Otherwise,
book,
how will they
because
know,
they're going to
right?
get valuable content.
Yeah, and especially you transfer
That's right.
your excitement, your belief to other people. And they may not be initially at your level, but hey, afterwards, means after 8, 10 messages, yeah, means they will know that you are passionate about it, you believe it, and you are expert, you have authority in it. then of course they will follow. And again, it is a numbers game. Some will, some won't, and some will never. Hey, so what? It doesn't matter, right? But that is the proven formula. You have to create the awareness about your own work. You have to be passionate, and if you don't believe, if you are not confident, how can someone else put their hard earned money? And it can be even as small as just $5 or $10, but still it is money, right? Yeah, I mean, it is hard earned money. So unless and until you transfer your belief, it is not going to happen, right? So, as a
Well, and I I also find a lot of authors don't put any energy into getting book reviews or getting people to review their book. Uh, Robert Cialdini, the best-selling psychologist, wrote the book Influence. I read where he said that 98% of the people that purchase a product online have read a review before they buy that book. And so I go by authors' websites all the time, or on maybe their page on Amazon, and they have 2 reviews or no reviews or less than 10. And that's a shame because people are going to read those reviews and make a decision whether they're going to buy your book or not. So, get a group of people together, and encourage them to post a little review about your book. I mean, it's just a simple thing that you can do. That's one of the reasons that whenever I read or listen to a book, not maybe I haven't bought it on Amazon, but maybe the author sent me the book. I can still write a review about that book and post it and get it out there. It's not a verified review and that I didn't buy it there, but I can still post those reviews. So that's just another simple thing that all of us can do as people that read books and care about books. Support other people
yeah,
and just
regarding the
get your
reviews, I
get your stuff
really
out
need
there.
some help because I have written my books and giving to my friends and family to read and review. And everyone is telling me it is great, and I don't want that kind of input. I want someone to pinpoint what is wrong. I want constructive criticism, and I'm giving my book away for people to read. And till now, all the feedback is good, and I really don't want that. I want constructive criticism. What can I do? Where can I get constructive criticism? Because I think my friends and family, I think they just love me too much, and they're just saying, "Oh, it is really good. It is really good." I don't want that. Please guide me.
I think you can get constructive criticism in a critique group is one of the best places to do that from other writers. Like when I was starting years ago, one of the reasons I've written for more than 50 magazines through the years is, and I still write for magazines, is because you can reach more people with a magazine article than you ever will with a book. But I was in a group, particularly when I was starting. There were 4 of us, and we got together once a month. It was very simple. Our pledge to each other was about a week or a week and a half before the meeting, we mailed something that we wanted the other people to critique. And it might be a chapter of a book, it might be a query letter, a magazine article, something that we would mail physically to them. So my commitment was I marked up each of those other people in my group. I marked up their stuff, came to the meeting. We sat down in a restaurant. We ordered breakfast quickly, and then we didn't chit chat. We just went to each person. Okay, we're starting with you. Then we're starting with you. And so you walked away from that meeting with 3 different people and their honest view of what they thought about your book. Now, sometimes you take those comments and you go, this person didn't get me. They're not the right person. That I'm not going to take that criticism. But other times you think, oh, that's a good idea. I should incorporate that idea. Or they missed my point here. Let me rewrite this paragraph so they can They can understand my point. Well, my writing as a writer grew in leaps and bounds because I was getting that kind of honest feedback. Now, you don't have to do it in person. You can do it in person. People have online critique groups. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways, but really get in a group is what I suggest, where you get that kind of honest feedback. Where you're right, your friends and your family, they love you, and they're going to say great, whether it's really
Yeah,
great or
absolutely.
not
So
at
sure.
the end of
So
the
that's
day.
my first step. I have to look for this critic group because means basically I just don't want someone to be saying, "Oh, it is so good, so so." No, means you tell me what I did wrong because I want to know what I did wrong before I publish the book, not after publishing the book. So and I keep on getting invitations for the webinars that write your book in one day, write your book in half day, write your book in 10 minutes. I say, what is this? It is just AI writing, not me writing. What is your opinion about that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is more smoke and mirrors and hype, and you have to be careful about those kinds of things. I mean, I had an editor friend of mine that was actually my editor for my very first book that was done in 1992, and she has written a World War II novel, but it came out a couple of years ago, and she's done almost nothing to promote her book. And so she texted me the other day. She said, "Hey, I'm ready to talk to this marketing firm that's going to help me with my book. They've given me a discount, so instead of $10,000, I only have to pay $6,000 to these guys. What do you think about that? Should I do that?" And I wrote back. I said, "No, no, you shouldn't do that. Don't spend. Who is this? There are these people? Why? They're just doing it for the money. They're not really going to practically be able to help you. So be careful, doing these kinds of schemes. You can waste a lot of money and resources on people that really aren't going to be able to deliver for you. I mean, one of my friends is Rick Frischman, that ran one of the biggest publicity firms in the country, and what he always said is that one of the things that you can depend on from these publicists is that they'll charge you every month. That's their guarantee. They'll charge you every month, and it's typically somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. So if you're not getting that kind of return for that investment, don't keep doing it. I mean, I had one of my authors at Morgan James come back to me with her last contract. She said, Terry, she said, I spent $50,000 last year promoting my book. And I said, well, did you get a return, that kind of return from it? She said, no. I said, well, then don't do it anymore. It's that simple. It's like, you know, don't keep spending money on something like that if it's not giving you the kind of return that you expect or should get. I mean, these things are really simple, Sue. It's like people are signing up and paying for these things that really aren't delivering for them, and they're stuck doing it. It's almost amusing, but it's sad in a lot of ways that people aren't using the good brain and the good thoughts that they have to be able to make wise
After
decisions at the end of the day.
writing books, whenever I'm in the networking meeting, if someone mentions that they have written and published the book, I always ask their experience because I want to learn from other people. And I remember I was in one networking meeting and he said, okay, he has written and published books and all and all. So I was asking him, so he said, so don't worry much about the quality of book because book is just an expensive business card. It is used only to get the quality clients. Nobody is ever going to read your book. Don't worry about the quality of the book. and it is just an expensive business card, and nobody's going to read. So, what is your opinion about that?
Well, I think the quality of the book's very important. So I work very hard at I use an outside editor, which every one of us can do. I use professional cover designers at Morgan James. We've been around in business over 20 years. We've produced over 6,000 titles, 29 New York Times bestsellers, over 200 Wall Street Journal bestsellers, and our covers look great. And part of the reason is we're still using the same 5 or 6 people that you can imagine. They've designed a lot of covers, and we get feedback on our covers from our salespeople before we issue the book. So my 10 Publishing Myths book it had different colors and different schemes in the design process because we got that feedback from the salespeople. So just make sure that you're doing the right thing for your book. At the end of the day, it's our model at Morgan James is very different from the way most traditional publishers work. But I spend a lot of time explaining all that to authors in the submission process to see if it's a good fit for them. I'm looking for the people where it is a good fit for them. And if it's not, then hey, go do whatever you're going to do. And I hope we can work together the next time, is what I tell people. Because the reality is there's over 11,000 new books that come out every day. And that includes all the self-published books, but there's a lot of junk really that's being printed out there. So you really need to make sure that your book rises above all that's out there, and you do your part to make sure you're turning in the very best
As I
possible
told you,
book
right, I
that
talked to
you
many
can at
people
the end of
who
the day.
have written and published book. I remember talking to one guy. He said I published my book twice. First, I published as a self-publisher and I sold 5,000 copies. But he said then I went with established publisher, and with their help, I sold 10,000 copies. So, why do you think, does it make so much of difference if you self-publish or if you go to established publisher? Does it make any difference?
It does make a difference. I keep reading in some people, they say that some publishers say that they sell 50% of their books on Amazon. Well, that's not true for Morgan James. They're a big customer of Morgan James, but they're only 24% of our overall business. So the way I look at it is if you publish with Amazon, which you could certainly do, you're missing 76% of what we do for the book out there. So our books are everywhere. They're on over 180 online platforms. We sell at Target.com as well as the brick and mortar bookstores. So take a hard look at all that. And we discourage our authors from using the word Amazon because most bookstore owners believe, right or wrong, they believe that Amazon has destroyed their business over the years. They don't really care that you have an Amazon bestseller or that you have 100 Amazon reviews. You just want to tell them you had a bestseller and that you had 100 reviews. Take that word Amazon out of there. So when I build a website, sure, I include Amazon as a place that people can go buy my book, but we do what we call share the love. So I encourage people to go to Barnes and Nobles, to Books A Million, to their independent bookstore, their local bookstore, Amazon, or they can get it directly from me. I mean, give people options where they can actually get the book everywhere if that's what you're going to do, and really go with a publisher that really has the reputation of carrying through with what they say they're going to do. I mean, I talk to publishers all the time, Sue, or I talk to authors all the time that have worked with a publisher, and their publisher promised that their book would be everywhere when it came out. But the reality was it was on the publisher website and on Amazon, nowhere else. It wasn't on Barnes and Nobles. It wasn't in their local bookstore. It wasn't anywhere that people could get it. And that's really frustrating when I hear those kinds of stories, just because this author made a poor decision
Okay,
in the
really,
process.
really good to know. So, as an beginner writer, what are the most important things they need to implement into their writing to become a successful writer, successful author?
Yeah, to become a successful author, I think one of the first steps that I encourage people to do, whether they're writing fiction or nonfiction or a children's book or whatever it is, whether they're going to self-publish or whether they go with a traditional publisher or with to a literary agent or whatever. I think the very first step that they need to do is to write a book proposal. Now, a book proposal it's hard to write these things. I mean, they're a lot of work. They're, maybe 40, 30, 40 pages of information. But that book proposal is your business plan. It's your idea of what you're going to do. You identify your audience, you identify your competition, you say why in the world you are the best person to write this book. Um, you say practically what kind of marketing you're going to do for the book. And then you have a great sample chapter or two. Now, I wrote this book, another one of my books called Book Proposals That Sell 21 Secrets to Speed Your Success. I wrote that book, Sue, as a frustrated acquisitions editor because I couldn't get the submissions from authors that I really needed in order to be able to get them a book contract. They were often missing something. So that book, now the first edition of that book is out of print. And so there's a new edition, revised edition of that book. And people can get that edition from me for free. They can get it if they go to bookproposals, plural, .ws for website, bookproposals.ws. And that pulls up a site that has the cover of the book and some copy about the book and a big button that says free book. So why in the world would I give away this ebook version of my book? Well, I give it away because we've learned at Morgan James that if somebody gets that ebook version and starts to read that ebook version, there's a high probability that they're going to turn and buy the print copy of the book. So ebook, giving away an ebook is a way to drive print book sales. And I just want to help people. I want people to get my book proposal book and take the energy to really write that proposal. And then whether they self-publish, whether they go with a traditional house, whether they go with an independent publisher, they're going to know what to do. They've got a blueprint right there with that book
Yeah,
proposal
that's
that
really
they put
good to
together.
know. So, the book says the 10 myth, but I want to know what is the 11th myth. Tell me more about that.
Oh, the 11th myth. Alice Kreider, who was an acquisitions editor at David C. Cook, when she endorsed this book, she wrote me and she said, Terry, you're missing the 11th myth. I'm like, oh, okay. What's the 11th myth, Alice? I'll bite. She says, well, the 11th myth should be that if I send my book to Oprah, she'll book me on her show. And I'm like, oh, that's a really great myth, Alice, because you know, I understand there's a warehouse in downtown Chicago where people have sent stuff to Oprah Winfrey. They store the stuff, they categorize everything in that warehouse, and then a couple of times a year they give it all away. So sure, you can send your book to Oprah if you want to, but very likely that that's what's going to happen with your book instead of really booking your on your show. So I decided to write that 11th chapter, and we designed it so it looks exactly like the rest of my 10 publishing myths book. And I encourage people to go to terrylinks.com/11th myth. And that pulls up a website where they put in their name and their email address, and they can get that 11th myth from me for completely for free. For free. I want them to get that from me so that they can know about my book, but they can also learn
Yeah,
from
I'm
that
going
from
to
that
go.
chapter.
I'm going to go to that link for sure. Yeah, it is very interesting. So what is the platform and why every author needs one? So can you just tell more about that?
Yeah, every author needs to be building a presence in the marketplace, and we in the business we do call that a platform, but it's different for everybody, and so I can't really tell you where to do that. I mean, if we had an exact formula for how to make a bestseller and sell books, we'd all be doing it, and all of our books would sell. But that's not the way it works. And so instead, there's this great journey that we're on in this process. And so I always encourage authors to find what works for them. Be experimenting out there. For some people, they build on podcasts like this. Other people start a YouTube channel and they grow that YouTube channel, and that becomes a revenue source for them. And that's where they built their stuff. So find the place that's right for you, and then do that consistently. But it is very important. Publishers are always interested in whether you have a platform or an online presence or not. I mean, about a year ago, I got this great uh, thriller novel from an author that he'd been in the military, then he'd been in the Secret Service. I mean, he had a great background to be able to put this book together. It was real well written, everything. But I asked him if he had an online presence at all, and he had nothing because of the background that he came out of. And we decided to pass on the book. We didn't offer him a book contract because he didn't have an online presence. So every author has to be building that somewhere or another, wherever you build it, but
So what is
just
your
get started
platform? Surely
and get it out
podcasting
there.
is your platform. Do you have any other platform?
I guest broadcast, but my platform would be my
Oh yeah,
my
I know your
website,
blog
my
success. Sorry,
blog.
how can I
Uh,
forget that?
I'm
Sorry,
on
I know
X,
your blog
Twitter.
success.
Uh, I've got I've got 175,000 followers on X, Twitter. I've got 19,400 connections on
Oh
LinkedIn.
my
I
goodness!
ignored LinkedIn
How did you
so
get so
for
many
years.
followers on
Those
X?
invitations that I get, but look, I had the way I did that. I had a program that I was using, which Twitter doesn't allow anymore. It was called Refollow, and so I would consistently follow people that were in my target market, and a certain percentage of those people followed me back. And so that's how I grew that Twitter following to become what it was. But then Twitter kicked off that program, and so that doesn't exist anymore for people to do that. So yeah, you have to just be in tune with what people are doing out there, and if
So
you
you
get
have
kicked off of one
podcast,
place,
Twitter,
try another
blogs,
place to see if
website,
the door opens
LinkedIn,
over there.
and they all are working equally well, or which is really producing the highest results for you.
It's hard. It's hard for all of us, as authors. We don't like to talk about that. I mean, everybody makes it out like it's easy. Just write your book and get it out there. No, it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot of work involved. That's part of the reason we call it that. We call it work.
Yeah, so our time is almost up, but I want to ask you, means if you have any parting advice for our audience, because hey, I'm really looking forward to use your services, because my books are still there in just Google Doc. I need to give them some life, so I will start one step at a time. First, I will go to the critics group, and so then editor and all. So I will follow those steps. But in general, do you have any advice for our audience?
Yeah, the main thing is I really encourage them to get a print copy of 10 Publishing Myths. And they can get that from me directly by just going to the website publishingoffer.com. And that pulls up a website of mine where they can get this book for $10, including the shipping, along with over $200 worth of bonuses. So I really try to make it easy for people to get this book. That's part of my goal and incentive to be on these podcasts and be talking about publishing. But the parting wisdom that I would give you, Sue, that you were asking about is that as authors, we get rejected a lot. We get a lot of people that say no to us, no thank you, I don't want this, my client list is full, all those kinds of things. As an editor and a former literary agent, I've been in some of the top offices and publishers in New York City. And whenever I'm in those offices, they're all asking me, where's the next bestseller? Where's the next Joel Osteen? Where's the next Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life? Where's the next Left Behind? And the reason I tell you that is they may be saying no to you, no to whatever you're pitching, but they're actively looking. They're reading their email. They're reading their physical mail that comes into their office. They're looking for what the next book is. All of us are. And so, take that as encouragement to keep going, because all of us need that.
Thank you.
Need that
I
encouragement
really
to keep
appreciate,
going.
because I learn a lot. And yeah, the first, actually, I would say, yeah, I have to take responsibility. Nobody else is going to just spoon feed success to me. I have to take responsibility for everything. And so looking forward to publish my books with your help. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot uh, for coming as a guest on our podcast and blessing our audience. Totally appreciate. And yeah, God bless you. Great journey, amazing wisdom. Yeah, looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Sue. And send me your material. I'm always looking. I'm always answering. I mean, officially, our company is closed until Monday for the break. But hey, I'm still reading my email. I'm still answering email.
Sure.
I
Thank
think
you. Thank you. Really
those are the
appreciate
simple
your help.
things that
Thank
all of
you.
us can do.
God bless you. Take care. Bye.
You too.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.